Hey folks, JD here, and today we're going to take the Fimi A3 back up, but I'm going to add something extra. Now there's quite a few things with the Fimi A3 that I absolutely love, and there's quite a few things I absolutely hate, and as I've explained in previous videos. The main thing is the display, obviously on the transmitter, which is why I've left it until it's a little bit dusk. It's 2:45 in the afternoon here, and it's just starting to get a little bit dusk, so I can ensure I can see that screen properly. Now, one thing I've always wanted to know, I've always wanted to see whether these range extenders, these parabolic range extenders actually work. Now, there's a little bit of film over the top of it, which I've had to get rid of. There's a few marks on this little extender here as well. I've got drone friends that say to me, yeah, they're worth every penny. These are great, they actually work. The parabolic arch just ensures that the signal gets relayed in a straight line and should extend your range. Now, I've always been on the fence with them. I've never really tried them to their fullest extent. I had them on the Spark at one point and I thought, yeah, that was okay, but I never had any issues from the Spark anyway. Now, because I get quite a bit of video interference from this at any particular distance over 160, I think it's over 100 or 160 foot, and obviously because where I fly there are quite a few trees, it could be down to that, it could be down to magnetic interference, it could be down to anything as to why I'm not getting a full relay back when I go over a certain distance. So I thought I'd give these a go. So these just fit on the transmitter. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to fit these on. They're molded in a particular way, the same way as the antenna. So quite literally, they just fit on like that. And then likewise with the other one fits on exactly the same. Now, what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to try this, and this isn't going to be a massively comprehensive test, but the only way that I can figure out of actually testing this properly and seeing exactly what we can do. When I last flew this, took it up, flew it out, and then we started to see some breakup on here. So what I've got an SD card in here, I've got an SD card in there. I'm hopefully going to capture the video from here as well, and I want to see what sort of distance that I can get to without there being any sort of breakup. The minute I get some breakup, I'm going to push a little bit further and see if the breakup continues, but obviously I don't want to go much farther because I need to turn it around and bring it back, and I need to ensure that it's all safe. So what I need to do first of all is let me format the SD card inside here. There we go, that's fine. And then let me format the SD card which is in the camera, if I can remember how to do that. Come on. Video resolution, TF card capacity, format TF card. There we are, cool. There we are, good, fine. We're down to 2 hours and 20 minutes rather than 11 minutes. So that's good. So that's what I'm aiming to do. I'm aiming to take it up, I'm aiming to fly it out and see exactly how far we get with it. To see, and obviously during this, what I'm going to do as well, in case the SD card doesn't record in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ensure that I'm holding this up at a particular angle. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to... Normally, the way that I was told to fly right back years and years ago is always ensure these antennae are 45 degrees from the quad, so they point in directly at the quad. I'm hoping to hold the transmitter like this, so I'm hoping that that angle is going to be fine for when we're flying. So what I'm going to take off, and then we're going to go from there, and hopefully we're going to see that the quad itself is actually capable of... those range extenders are actually capable, because they don't cost that much at all. I think it cost me £6.50 from Amazon, so it really is not that bad. So here we go. Already I'm struggling to see. Let me start the video. So let me hang her there and let me start the video. And already I'm really struggling to see this LCD screen. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take her up to the same height. So where's my height? 22, 24. I'm going to take her up to... I'm going to aim for, let's alter the angle of this gimbal a little bit as well, try and blast as much light as I can into that sensor. So I'm going to do 37 meters height. So I'm going to remember the 37 meters and I'm going to replicate that height when I take her out with the range extenders as well. So you're going to have the same height on the same day, and hopefully we're going to, there we are. We're not out that far at the minute. Obviously what I'm aiming to do as well is I'm aiming to bring her back, because the return to home is just backwards. I'm aiming that if I do lose full signal that I could then just bring her straight back in a straight line. So there we go, starting to get a bit of interference. Nothing too crazy, but it is starting to break up. You can see that there. And again, we're at 171 meters, 178, 193. It's not terrible at all, but it is starting to break up. So I'm going to increase her height a little bit, up to 44. I'm going to move her around, and I'm going to move because I know which way this nature reserve works. There we go, a lot of break up, 279 meters, And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to bring her back in a straight line just until that signal gets a bit better. So 279 meters, and started to see not debilitating frequency loss, but still a little bit where I was feeling a little bit apprehensive about taking her any further. So I can just see her coming back. She's just a little black dot in the distance there, but I can see her. Let me move her around a little bit as well. There we go. Right. And she's directly above me. Perfect. So then I'm going to bring her down, and I'm going to fit her with, there she is, I'm going to fit her with those extenders, and we're going to take her up. But as you can see, I'm still getting every now and again just signal disturbance. And okay, you could put it down to the 5.8 gigahertz. There we go, there she is. And you can see those white LEDs. I love those LEDs, very, very good. So then she's above me, and I'm going to bring her down. There we go. So I'm not pulling any punches. I'm going to bring her down as quick as I can. Boom, 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 boom. 100% bring down. And then I'm going to attach the range extenders and see whether we get any issue. Now, there are some issues in me doing this. I realise we've got trees. We haven't got an open field. So obviously, I may not be getting the exact experience that I want. And I fully anticipate that. But at the same time, if it's better, then I'll be satisfied that they work. Maybe I need to be in a far more open place, like maybe up in the top field where I usually fly. I can't be up there today, unfortunately, but I can be here. So what I'm going to do is just angle these on again. So again, come on, click in. They're a little bit fiddly. There we go. On, they are a very snug fit. A very snug fit. There we go. And that one as well. They're a little bit heavy, but they're not really forcing the antenna backwards unless you pull it back. So that's okay. And they will just obviously lock in place as well. So that's all right. Right, so we've got these on. Now we had 279 meters from memory, and I want to see whether or not we get there and whether or not how much interference we get from this. So what I'm going to do is once again point the antenna up to the quad. I'm going to raise her up to the same height. So the same height was, there we go, if I start video, there we go. Same height was 37 meters if I remember. So 39, 40. I'm going to bring it down a little bit more, see if I can. And then I'm going to just angle it, and then we're going. So 38 meters, so I'm a little bit higher than what I was previously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just move her over, because that's not the exact line that I was taking to begin with. And then I'm going to angle her up, and I'm going to see, I'm following her with my transmitter as well. So as her course direction changes, so does my hands with the transmitter. And I'm willing to see if this makes any difference at all. Now, I've started to get some interference at 171 meters. There was a big crow that just came across my path there. It's a bit more interference. What I'm going to do is stop her there. Let me angle these a little bit better so that they're facing more towards her. And let's push her forward. Still got full FPV, although there is a lot of interference. 279, that's as far as I could go before. 312, I'm pushing through this interference barrier. Let's see if I can raise her a little bit higher, just to get her up above those trees, see if the signal will flow a little bit better. No, that's it now. Oh, no, I've still got... No, that's it. Disconnected, return it to home. So I'm just going to bring her back. There we go. That's it. So you can see here there's no transmitter whatsoever on there. So I'm just bringing that. Disconnected at over 300 meters. So here I go. I'm up at 49 meters there. So I'm just going to bring her back. And as you can see, as soon as she hits 160 odd, then she's absolutely fine. No problem whatsoever. So I'm going to just turn her around. And, oh, she is fighting return to home. Can I disconnect? Can I cancel this return to home? No. But she is still returning to my home anyway. So that's okay. So she's just coming backwards. It's quite interesting because I was altering the course direction there as well. Then she disallowed my movements. and then she's coming straight back. That's perfect. Really, really, really good. So then, there we go. Now she's dropping. She's going to be way out of the landing path. By the look of her, she's way out. But at the same time, that's not really that much of the end of the world. It's just a bit of an inconvenience, really. So I've stopped video. I'm just going to bring her down. It's just she's going to land a little bit on the floor there, which again isn't that much of an issue. So, and that's quite interesting. That's quite interesting. What I want to do now as well is I want to see whether or not I can disconnect these, and if I can push her past 300. I mean, obviously the issue I've got here was I pushed her as far as the range was willing to go, and then she disconnected, and then she decided to come home. There we go, and she's down. So she is a hell of a long way away from the landing path, but this isn't a return to home test. This is just me wanted her to come back to where I took off from, so I'm pretty happy with that. There we go. Right, so how's my battery looking? So I've got a bit of battery loss in the transmitter. I got a bit of battery loss in the quadcopter. Satellites are now picking back up, so that's okay. So if I take these off now, let's try her without those, and let's see whether we can push 300 or whether she just disconnects and automatically decides to come home. Now I've got a couple of people that have just come into the field, so I've got to wait for them to walk on before I continue. But so far I would say that it's made not that much difference whatsoever. I mean, but obviously, as I say, I'm not in a wide open space, but signal relay at an altitude should be generally all right. But I've always had an issue with this and going flat out full distance. I've tried several things to try and make it better, but obviously the problem that I get with it is that I can't see anything through here, which is a massive bit of an issue. But stop that. So I just wanted to see whether this was going to make a difference. Now, for £6.50, I'm going to see whether or not I can obviously modify these holes and make them fit onto other quadcopters. But then I don't know if the size of the dish makes any difference. Probably does. So I might just see whether I can get a couple more. I've got a couple coming for the Mavic Mini. I've got a couple coming for a couple of other things as well. So we will see exactly how that goes when we get to it. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to let those people walk on a bit, and then I'm going to try and see then. I'm going to take her back up and then try and see if we can push 300 meters without. So we're going to try, so the test we've done so far, try without, and I got to 279 meters. Try with, and I got to over 300, and then try without now again. I'm going to try and see if I can get to over 300 again. I can't remember the unit figure of the 300 meter flight, but I'm going to try and see if I can do it again, and then if I do it again, whether or not I can still push 300. But essentially I pushed her as far as I could physically push her, and all she did then was disconnect and decide to return to home, and I was pretty happy that she did, and I was high enough obviously to get above the blanket of these trees, which is pretty good. Right, okay, so there's nobody here. Let me just check her on the corner, because usually I fly here ridiculously early, but in the UK we're very grey at the minute. All the weather's very grey. Nobody there, nobody there, nobody cross there, nobody cross there. Right, okay, I'm gonna take her back up and see what we can do. I'm going to fly off in the same course heading as the quadcopter is facing, so going to be in the same location area, which is directly above those trees there and straight on. So I'm going to try that now. Let's take off. There's nobody else coming here. Yeah, take off. There we go. Sometimes I push a little bit too lightly with this. Okay, so off we go again. So I'm going to give her some height, and I'm going to take her up. I'm going to see if I can pull that camera down a little bit to begin with, and see whether I get any more light into that sensor. No. I mean, it's not really that dusk here either. I'm going to give her a bit more height. I'm going to take her up to over 40, I think. No, I won't. I'll keep it to what I had. 39. The first one was 37 and 38. If I need to, when I return to home, I can always raise her height a little bit. If I tilt the screen back a bit, and if I put the extenders up, I can see the screen better. So that's how I'm going to fly for this. And I'm going to see exactly what I can do. So let's just push her. We've got plenty of battery. We're well above the canopy of the trees there. Already we're starting to see some interference. 169, 180. Now we're 200. Now here's the big pond. This is where I kind of turn a little bit and then go over the big pond. 260, 268, 279, 289. I got enough interference there that I can't see. 311, 312. I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to bring it back because I'm really not happy with that. I couldn't see anything there, and I'm not happy with that at all. I can see where she is. Let's raise her height a little bit as well. So I'm going to take her up a little bit higher. I've still got mad interference at 107. Oh, there we go. At 170, bang, it just seemed to sort itself out. So let me just put that to the test a little bit. So if I push her forward a bit more, 150, 160, starting to get some interference. 170 is sort of where I am with it when I start to see a lot of interference. Yeah. So let's bring her back and let's see what we can do there. So there we go. So let's stop her. She's just above me. So let's spin her around. Let's alter that camera so you can see exactly where she is and you can see where I am. I am directly there. So that's exactly what I'm going to do now, is just bring her down. So for me, in this particular setting, which as I say may not be the best setting to test them in, but for me in this particular setting I would say there's absolutely not much difference in using them whatsoever. I'd be quite happy to not use them, totally honestly, and I don't really see a point in using them at that point. I really don't, which is a little bit annoying to say the least, but it doesn't matter. I just want to see, I'm going to try and see if I can get to another location, a more open location, and see whether or not I can make there be any difference if there is a wide open expanse rather than there being a built up area. But so far the first test was 279 meters, the second test was over 300, and then the third test, let me just turn all this off. There we go. And then the third test was without, and I couldn't see the exact figure at the bottom, but I know it was at over 300 when we lost signal. But obviously the second test with the antenna, she did disconnect. The other two she didn't. So again, questionable, but I don't think at this particular time, in this particular setting, I don't think they're worth it. I'm going to try them in other settings. Maybe I'm going to be proved wrong if it's an open area or whatever, but still, maybe I'm going to try holding the transmit in a different way, angling the antenna slightly differently. But the way that I've always been taught is the antennas have to be pointed towards the quadcopter, and to be fair, it's never failed me. So I'm going to see what I can do with it and see, have a little play around and see what sort of difference I can make. But for the second, yeah, I'm really not taking on that whatsoever. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Maybe in future, but certainly not in this setting anyway, where there are trees. It doesn't make it a blind bit of difference, I don't think, because even though the range was higher, the range was a bit longer, I couldn't really see much, to the point where it actually disconnected and returned to home in itself. Anyway, there we are. I'm going to stop waffling, my friends. Thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD. You've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and ring that bell too. Hello and welcome to all the new subscribers. I hope you're enjoying the channel. So until next time, my friends, happy flying.